Ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls, welcome back. We are going to break it down the stock market. So, largely over the weekend, there was a whole lot of news and a whole lot of nothing news. And a lot of people thought the stock market was really going to open up red. I'm going to be honest, even for a little bit there, I thought I'm not going to get the short entry. I did not swing short or long over the weekend. I kind of just hung out in my normal stuff, which is typically shares, options, contracts sold. So I'll just take advantage of the theta. I am looking for a short entry overall when we get to these charts. But Iran did launch an attack towards Israel. It was like 100 something drones, 30 missiles. I think 3 missiles got through. You basically had a 9-hour heads up to stop all this. And while everyone was talking about a World War III and all that, and the stock market's going to tank, we actually opened up green. So just remember that when you're taking all your positions, right? There's the outside world, and then there's the stock world, and then there's the attack that you had 9 hours heads up on that nothing went through. Tell me you're coming to my house and give me 9 hours heads up 1,000 times out of 1,000 times. You just don't make it. Anyway, let's rock and roll. Bitcoin, we did that video. So Iran launched the attack is what everyone was saying. That's why Bitcoin was down, not because anyone else was selling, but because there was a drone headed somewhere. Still don't get that. But anyway, sold off. We dropped down to this zone. I did a video talking about as a trade, buy it here, take profit right there. So you'd be well under your way. But I am looking out for this scenario still. I am going to delete all of that, though. Again, I even said in that video, I don't trade it. This is just something I buy. And kind of waiting to see. For sure going to buy down here at the 50 mark if we get there. And again, the savings account, right? So I buy every week, but then there's the extra chunk that I'll throw in. That'll be at the bright yellow zone. I doubt I'm anything in on that one. So everyone bought the war before markets even opened. All right. As far as the dollar goes, I did tag out of my dollar long position. This was a hedge against my US dollar Japanese yen short. It was a phenomenal play. So that did tag out. I'm hoping the dollar comes back down and I'll probably get back into that. But for now, waiting on that. And that's the Euro USD. It was a short position. Yeah, so I kept it tight, and that did tag out just before that candle even turned, obviously, before that candle even turned green. So I don't know. The way we just nailed this short and went all the way down, I was fine with that. What I don't want to have is two losers or because right now my US dollar Japanese yen, those positions are red as it does push up. It is a short position. And I don't want this giving back as those are losing. So I don't want that. So that's why I kept that one kind of tight. Sorry. I got a bunch of little ones at the house right now. I don't know where their owner is at. Anyway. So as far as the dollar goes, I'm thinking pullback. Now, if the dollar pulls back, it's a lot easier for the markets to be green as the dollar sells off, which would typically push gold up. Let's talk about gold real quick while we're here. I'm getting a lot of people asking me, is gold still bullish? Gold needs to probably chill out before you take any long plays on it. But it's absolutely cruising. We talked about this actually in the prior weeks, how this could possibly be a sign of something coming, because this almost looks like a flight to safety. It's just awkwardly being bought up. There's a lot of gold being bought up. Not necessarily a hedge against the dollar, because oftentimes we'll see Bitcoin start pushing on that. But right now, I'd say it's up there. I would want some kind of a pullback or pull over a little bit longer and then consider going long. Almost same price action we saw here. Give me a couple red days. Few even. Give me one solid week of red, and then I can buy it, or ultimately just kind of take that thing sideways for a little bit, show off where the low points are, where I can put my stop. Let me get a structured trade that way. There's another instance of pulling over. So you didn't have to go long here, 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 here. You could have gone long here with a stop right here and taken every bit of advantage of that. So wait for it to throw off where that support is at. That's where you're going to put your stops. If you did it right now, it's a little bit early. You'd be talking probably about that red wick right there, right below that zone. For now, I'm not touching that one. I had a gold leap that I closed. It did work out phenomenally as well. As far as the Russell goes, went right down. Now we held that zone, right? So it bounced, sold back off. We've tested, so we're talking about zone freshness, not too often, but it's come up quite a bit as volatility picks up. We start knocking on zones more often than not. We found some buyers here at the type 1. Now they ran out. Found some buyers here at the type 2. Pushed it all the way up. We're back down, and now we're right here. So we still have that set of buyers, but how many are left before this ultimately breaks down? Breaking these previous lows, breaking this zone right here, I think would probably signal that we're headed a bit further down, which is why for now I'm hoping not just this move stays. I'm hoping tomorrow morning is at least green. Maybe a lunchtime turnaround. I could go short. And right around lunchtime, I'll look for that bull flag or reversal. They just look the same. Just depends on what echo chamber you sit in, that's when I'll probably like to take a short position. And I don't know if it'll be the Russell, Tech, or the S&P. We've killed it last week in the S&P. Even the growth account, shout out to anybody that did follow that, buying the calls. The growth account, we did buy calls. They were up overnight. And then in the mentorship, I didn't take it in the growth account, but we grabbed puts. So right here at the peak, grabbed puts Thursday night to swing into Friday, which were absolutely amazing. Sorry. I usually have somebody. All right. Anyway. Technician says, speak for yourself. Yeah. The growth account is on Robinhood. So if you don't have all, it's funny saying this, if you don't have all the tools that Robinhood has, then there's just a lot of plays you probably can't take. Usually Robinhood's considered basic, but for instance, Robinhood, we can, there was a call that we bought. So we'd bought calls and they'd actually just exploded at the end of the day. I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and it was at the end of the day you could close. It was actually after hours. So we ended up closing that right there. So anyway, you do have to remember, guys, the Patreon, right? The growth account where I post everything right when I do it, is not a call out service. It's just what I'm doing. And if you want my performance, you have to do my things. But that's that. I'd say we're doing pretty. I haven't even looked at the math, but we were up 40%, so I know we're up more now. Last year was 140%, so hopefully we can beat that this year. And then I guess we can take the next 10 years off. That way we can hang with the S&P. I do have the expected moves. Let me just bring those up for you guys. I'll edit this if you guys have my charts. There you go. But if you want to take a look at that, there you have it. I did notice. Let me minimize that a little bit more. That's AMD and Intel down here. I did notice all the tech names. The expected moves did go up a little bit. So I'm curious what's going on in the tech center that has things so spicy. Because right now we are very much range bound. No matter how you dice it, we drew out this range, right? It's this one candle. We've been inside the whole time, kind of playing the zone game, just back and forth. Ultimately, buyers here, sellers up here. Let's make that just a tad bit brighter. Breaking this range will probably be my signal. I've got some bears that are in my chat, and I mean, we might be buddies if this does break. So I am interested in a short play. As far as the Russell goes, it does carry the bronze medal for me. More than usually, it's actually, if anything, it's a silver medal because the S&P and the Nasdaq are usually tied for first place as to which one I'm playing. But I'm very interested in taking a short position. What's kind of been the winner and why I went with the S&P is just because Nasdaq is all tech. There's just a lot of AI stuff involved in there, and there's just so much news involved. And I just don't want something to just drop. I still think tech is like the wild card. The markets could crash. We could see a full blown recession. There might just be some AI ticker in there that just sends this thing up. So I know it's probably in the S&P as well, but I just feel safer, I guess. And I hate using the word safe. It's one of the dumbest things you can say as far as stock market goes. Bouncing out of this zone. All right, so let's break this one down. Tomorrow morning, if we are, let's say we're just right here. Now, what I'll end up doing is I'll go short with a stop right above this wick. Bull flag or reverse. We start to stall right here, kind of candy cane it up. I'll go short right here. Hopefully, by the time it hits the zone, I mean, my stop will be in the green and we can just blast that thing down. The bottom can fall out. And I'll be on board. World War III. Let's do the red thumbnails. Let's keep me, Kevin, in here talking about a crash. All of the YouTubers. Crash for days. Uh, Either way, I will go short. So I'm going to keep this. This is obviously the zone, but I would almost look at this blank space right here because we just faded it so nicely. I might even entertain going short right here at this. Let's just grab a short position to give you an idea of how I would go short this. I would go short right there, probably more type 1 mentality. Let's put my stop. I don't want it breaking that, so my stop would have to go right there. So that would be my first short entry, and then I would go short again right here. Same stop. Now, for those of you guys that don't really know risk management or how to trade, that's not just doubling down because you're down. Notice this is part of my plan before I ever even got in, which means all of my risk, my positioning, my allocation, all sizing, all questions answered before I ever got in. I'm going to go in here, I'm going to add on here, and I'm stopping out here. I'm not just going to go short here just because someone else said it, and then, oh, I'm down, I better double down real quick, and then just be, triple down up here? What are you doing when it breaks up that? So that's likely how I'll take it, and that will only be a horizontal play. Let me get my head out of the way. From this candle down, kind of keeping that range. I don't really care what the news is. That's just, it's sideways until not. So I will remain short right up there, but just looking for a short entry right inside here. Breaking above that. If the trend is up, you might hear me talk about something I took intraday, kind of just getting it to that level. But other than that, not too much. So that'll probably gap up in the morning. S&P. I really thought when we opened up green, I really thought this zone we would hit in the morning. This is actually a pretty decent opening that we've seen in a long time. So there's some buyers here, or just a very much lack of sellers. Go to any one of the Sunday Stock Talk videos in the past, weeks. That candle body looks like this candle right here without the wicks. The morning is like nothing. You could be long, short, you could be anything. And the Sunday open tells you nothing. This is pretty green. I kind of thought we'd hit this zone in the morning, and that's where I was going to take a short play. But we did break out of that range already on the S&P. So here's that range up here, that same one we have drawn out on the other tickers. This one just got absolutely beat down. And I don't know if you are subscribed to this channel. Hopefully you are, but I don't know how many times you've seen me draw out these red lines. We've talked about inside candles, and we've talked about how if you have my charts, you have my chart link, right click on there, click add an alert on both these, and when one of those goes off, that's your alert. That's the sign that we're breaking in that direction. So I am looking for a short play right now. I guess that could end up being just a fake out. We could just take off. Going short this zone right here would just be another lower high play. So there's a couple entries to go short. I think it'd be pretty decent. Right now, I'm just going to wait until the open if I don't choke and die first. So anyway, before I die, hit the subscribe button. That could be huge. If you could do that. Gosh, what was the couple more that I do need to talk about this. XYZ. This one's getting the absolute brakes beat off, but it was a pump and dump. This is one that I bought, and there's going to be a deeper dive video coming out to this. It's Destiny Tech 100. And right now, the two biggest companies that they own, so this is like an ETF, if you will, of things that are not public. The two biggest companies that you guys will recognize. Actually, there's Impossible Meat in there as well. You know that one. But SpaceX is their number one holding, I think at 38%. And then there's OpenAI for ChatGPT. So these are some of the companies they own that are just not public yet. And to actually invest in these, you would have to know somebody, you have to be an accredited investor. You got to be in that circle to even get shares. So it's kind of like access to it. This isn't my investment account, but we're now starting to see price targets of $5. I don't know how people are coming up with that. But I'm going to do a little bit more of a deep dive into this. But for anybody that just really wants to get into SpaceX or anything like that, this could be a good one. What happens if those companies go public? I imagine it would just be like any other angel investor. There's a lockup period, and when they can sell, they sell, and they might sell that company and then profit. Do they continue to hold it, or do they keep it rotating like they don't have 100 companies yet. They're looking to get 100 companies. Um, so I don't know. I mean, that's a question I have to answer myself is what if they just hold SpaceX? What if they just all go public and then it's just a tech ETF? So there will be a future video coming out about this right now. And I told everybody in my chat about this. Your stop loss should be the default one. Zero, the one that the factory puts on for you. This looked like a pump and dump. This was at its peak, $122. Opened up at $8. So definitely throwing around some numbers, but there's no real price action to break down on this. So careful with that. But and I will tell you right now, the spreads on this are pretty wide, which tells me it is brand new, but people just haven't found out about it yet. And the reason why I jumped in now, I bought some at it was 50-ish, north of 50. There's no playing it. It's down. um, when people do find out about this, I'm curious when those spreads tighten up, are they buying it? So I wanted to get in some now because I know SpaceX is a huge one. A lot of people are talking about, and OpenAI. I mean, that is an AI play. That is ChatGPT itself, not just a competitor trying to beat it. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I will see you, beautiful people, in the morning. Have a good Mid-ship. I'm going to see you guys right now. Everyone else, you will actually see me on Tuesday. I lied. Maybe tomorrow. I'll try. Have a good one.